Hi, I'm Portee, fashion and lifestyle journalist and editor of Zayla magazine. I've always been interested in biographies and in the stories of people's lives, basically listening to what stirs their souls. Welcome to the Soulful side of life, where I let you in on some of my conversations with inspiring people from around the world in fashion, faith, entertainment, music, and entrepreneurship. These are conversations that stir the soul about people's journeys, about the ups and downs of life, and how they have overcome certain situations. I hope that these episodes will inspire your life in some way, so enjoy over a cup of something hot or on your drive to work. This is the Soulful Side of Life and can be found on Spotify Podcasts or Apple Podcasts. So I had the pleasure and privilege of being able to interview during the Cannes Film Festival actress Shohreh Aghdashloo, and I have been knowing about her since about 2009 when I saw her film The Stoning of Zariah M, and it's such a moving film. I made my dad watch it and he was moved about the stoning of women in Iran, and we get into the significance of that film in this podcast episode. But Shohreh is an Emmy-winning, Oscar-nominated actress. She's originally from Iran, and she's banned from going to her native country. But her prolific work on stage and screen has been lauded for decades in both her native Iran and worldwide, especially in her adopted home, the United States. American audiences know her best from her Oscar-nominated performance in House of Sand and Fog and her Emmy-winning role in HBO's acclaimed House of Saddam. But I think another reason why she may be known is her iconic voice. She is a voiceover artist and has impacted many mediums. She has done video games like Mass Effect, Destiny, and animated TV series like Arcane. She has also narrated audiobooks like The Bible of Clay and Julia Navarro and The Mountains Echoed by Khalid Hosseini. You also may have seen her on Law and Order SVU, Will and Grace, Star Trek Beyond X, and X-Men The Last Stand and The Lake House. So in this episode, Shohreh and I talk about her newest film, Still Smiling, a film about domestic violence. And this is a topic that she's passionate about. And we talk about her early life in Iran and what she's working on now. So enjoy this podcast episode with this amazing actress, Shohreh Aghdashloo. Thank you so much for joining the podcast. It's an honor to speak to you, Shohreh.
It's such a pleasure to speak to you too. Thank you so much for taking up your time and
Oh,
talk to me about this, one of the most important issues of not just today's world, but it's been we've been dealing with this issue forever, really.
true.
Whatever it is, we've never either had time or patience to get to the bottom of it,
Yeah.
to find a system that will prevent these kind of
Atrocities.
atrocities.
Yeah, indeed.
Exactly.
But before
Yeah.
we get into that topic, I'm just curious, what was little girl Shohreh like?
Oh my God. A little girl Shohreh was more like a little boy Shohreh. Uh, I have three brothers, but my mother kept saying, "You are my son."
Oh,
Believe it or not, and the others were the others are smaller than me, but obviously younger than me. But obviously they were offended. They were like, "Ma, we are your sons." She said, "No, you don't understand. She is my son." I was boyish. I was kind of daring, not to be afraid of, uh, confronting people or things that I did not think that
Yeah.
their behavior is appropriate, or uh, didn't want to
Yeah.
talk to them. And they called me Blunty,
Oh,
because I would say if I didn't like someone or felt like someone is trying to take advantage of me, I would say, you know, I don't want to have anything to do with you from now on. This was my, this was
you were
my motto.
direct.
Exact, very much so. I still am. I think this way it's a lot easier,
Yeah.
not just to make friends, because they would immediately understand that who you are and why you're their friends and how they should treat you.
Yes.
And in real life, I mean, being blunt, I think, is the best way of having a relationship. Because otherwise, if we keep pretending
Hmm.
what we are not, then obviously at one point we get into trouble.
That's true.
And
It's
better
better to be
makes sense.
direct and honest. It leaves no confusion and yeah,
That's
people
exactly it.
appreciate it.
That's exactly it. My husband is a playwright. He's written a new play.
Okay.
So a couple of nights ago, he said, "Would you like me to read you my play?" I looked at him, I said, "No." And he said, "Oh my God. Although I'm very upset with what you just said, but I like your forwardness. I'm
Yeah,
glad you told me that, because what's the use of it? Saying yes there just to, make him happy, but not really being willing to listen to his play. I
that's
would have not listened to it. I would have thought about some other things rather than concentrating on it, because I wasn't ready to sit down and listen to his play for 2 hours. So
yeah.
I said it and said, although I didn't like it, but I appreciate your bluntness. Thank you
Yeah.
for being blunt. I'm like, okay, you're so welcome.
Yeah. And when you say yes, that means you really want to, you are ready to listen and to engage and give feedback and yeah.
That is
Uh,
exactly it. When I say yes to my friends,
yeah,
they know that I really mean it.
that you really mean it. When did you know acting was your calling?
Oh my God, Gone with the Wind
Oh,
in the Caspian Sea. I
okay.
was 16 years old. My uncle lived in the Caspian Sea. He was a farmer, and they had cotton fields. So we used to visit them a lot, my family and I. He had 6 daughters and 3 boys.
Wow.
Their life was very similar to what you get familiar with in my one of my favorite books ever, Pride and Prejudice.
Mm,
Exact same thing. Huge house. Merchants will come to their door, sell their stuff, and it's the same style. And they had a very old Chevy. So later on, when I read Pride and Prejudice, I thought, oh my God, my uncle and his family lived the same way. Girls, everything really. So once a week, they would take us to see a movie at the only movie theater in town. And we went to see Gone with the Wind.
wow.
It came to the interval. All the other kids were asking for sodas, popcorn, and stuff. My mother said, what would you like? I said, I want to become an actress. And I bet you I'm going to act better than her.
Yeah.
I meant Vivian Leigh as Scarlett O'Hara. And she was like, oh my God, Shohreh, stop it. Not under our roof. Your father is not going to agree with this. Unfortunately, acting was frowned upon, especially for women. 50 years ago, back in Iran, you can imagine.
Yeah.
But I paved my way
Yeah. You
and I
made it
became an
happen.
actress no matter what. I made it happen. That's why I am in love with this song. I'm sure you're very familiar, Frank Sinatra. I did it, and I did it my way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Every time the radio plays that, I'm like, I did it my way.
Yeah. I love that song. I love that
Yeah.
song.
Yeah. I bet you
Um,
all powerful women love that song.
I think so. I totally agree. Um, How are you breaking stereotypes and barriers of Middle Eastern people or middle people of Middle Eastern descent in Hollywood?
Best way, I think, it starts from us and it ends with us, the actors, the performers. All depends on how you are going to cross the culture.
Mm,
If you are going to mix and match, it's not going to work. You need to have all these tools in your bag. Like, I'm a Middle Eastern woman, I'm an African woman, I'm an Indian woman. Put all these, put all these in your bag, and then you bring them out one by one when you use them. Or you can really cross culture and try to learn all the tricks, all the uh, ways of portraying your character without having to bring in your own self.
yeah.
Because then that would be kind of confusing. Like, this is a Middle Eastern woman playing an American woman, or is this a Middle Eastern woman who's been living in the West forever, and that's why. So you really have to know where you're standing, who you are, who you're representing, why you're doing this. First, you
Mhm.
have to sort it out with your own self. And
Yeah.
then, when you're on board, just act accordingly. I remember after the Emmys, when I won the Emmys, Emmy, we went to the after party. And
Hmm.
I was with my husband. I left the statue with him, and I went to the girls, and I started talking to all these actresses who were also nominated or have won or something. And I was with them mingling, laughing and stuff. When I came back to my table, my husband said, "Oh my God, sorry, it's like you've been born here. You belong to them."
Yeah. Wow. Wow. How inspiring. How inspiring. And the new film that you're so passionate about, how did that come about? I'd love to hear more.
It's really interesting. My dear friend, one of lovely, amazing Iranian actresses, Shiva Nagar. I love her. And she called me and she said, "There's this movie. It involves domestic violence." And the moment she said domestic violence, I'm like, oh, I'm very curious and I'm very interested in this subject matter.
Mm.
Please do send me the script. She did. I read it and I thought, it's not, I'm sure you know it, this is an independent movie.
Yes.
Therefore, a labor of love. You
Yes.
really have to love to do it. And I read it and I thought, oh, it's not about getting another job, or it's not about acting another character, portraying out another character. It's about domestic violence. And it's my duty to
Mm.
be a part of it, regardless of its financial part or some other problems that we had to face while we were making it. Then I
Mhm.
thought, it's my duty,
Yeah.
and I will do my best
Yeah.
to bring it to daylight, to bring it to people, to bring it to people's attention,
Mhm.
because it's been under our nose for thousands of years,
Yeah.
and somehow, in some places, it sounds kind of normal. They're like, yes, of course, some people beat each other up, yes, but why are we taking it so easily? Why aren't we fighting with it? Why aren't we doing something about it? Or
Mm.
maybe the government needs to do something about it. Maybe they need to hire people, send them to people's home, find out what's happening to the kids that are being abused, or to the wife that is being battered, or it's I think no matter what, God knows how many movies, how many TV series, how many plays have been made about this
Yeah.
subject matter. But we're not done with it. We still need to talk about it.
Of course, we do. But yeah, you have this gift of taking these films about violence against women and making people aware of what's going on in the world. I saw your film The Stoning of Soraya several years ago, and I was so moved by it, and I made my dad watch it with me, and he was there on the sofa, just so devastated by the story. And I think, it's so impactful that you bring attention to these issues. Has that always been a motive and aim of yours to want to focus like on domestic violence? So when you get those scripts, you're like, I want to do this.
With all due respect to the entertaining movies and series, I personally prefer to be a part of a movie or a project that is not only entertaining but also meaningful.
Mm. Hmm.
And if it's trying to point out to a social problem or an issue that human beings are dealing with, I'd be even more interested in it
Yeah.
because it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It's meaningful. Otherwise, portraying a rich lady or whatever that is having a great time and left and right are throwing parties and stuff. I always ask myself, what is the reason of making this movie? I totally understand sometimes we make movies just to entertain. I love it. I get myself entertained with those movies as well. But if I am supposed to act in a movie or in a project, I would prefer to do something meaningful. With the stoning of Shohreh, what happened was we had 16 reports from Iran. Amnesty International had 16 reports from Iran
Wow.
that 16 women were stoned to death in the course of a few years. Pakistan, worse. Afghanistan, even worse than both. So, and Turkey, the rural societies in Turkey. So, the director and I did our best to find producers who would be willing to put their money in this movie because, as you and I know, these movies cannot sell as much as the others. So, what happened? We came across two producers who were familiar with human misery. They had made Passion of Christ.
Mm.
So that's why they helped us to make this movie. And obviously, there was no profit in making this movie. But the real profit was it stopped stoning in Iran and Turkey.
That's amazing.
2 years after, I went to Istanbul. I love Istanbul, and especially the old bazaar in
Yeah.
Istanbul.
Yeah.
It is called Sultan Ahmed Bazaar. Every time I'm in Istanbul, first day, early morning, I have to go to the bazaar. And amazingly enough, I was walking through the bazaar. The moment I opened my mouth and said, "Excuse me, how much is this?" or do you have this in other colors and stuff? People would call me by my character's name and say, shopkeepers, Zahra,
Oh, wow.
Zahra, is this you? Thank you for making this movie. It was shown in the theaters in Turkey. Obviously, it was banned in Iran. I myself am banned in Iran, but in Turkey, it was in theaters. And shopkeepers told me that the line to see this movie was going blocks around the theater to see
Wow.
the movie. It stopped snowing in Iran and Turkey.
Wow.
So that's the profit that I'm
Yeah.
looking for.
Yeah.
I have a I have a modest life and I'm happy, so
Yeah.
I don't need more.
And that's the purpose of good filmmaking, is to convict and to bring change. Yeah. I thank you for making that film because I've never forgotten it. And it brought that issue to Americans' attention. I think oftentimes Americans are in their bubble a bit far from other parts of the world. And yeah, it definitely brought
But
it.
I don't blame them.
Yeah.
They're thousands of miles away
Yeah.
from what is happening. And to be honest with you, I think when I arrived in the US 38 years ago, I had to explain where I was from. And I have even to show them the map. And they're like, where is Iran? And I was like, next to Iraq, here and there. But today, everyone knows
Everyone
where
knows.
exactly other countries are, not just because of the news, but also social media.
Yeah. Yeah, for
So,
sure. When I
yeah.
was growing up, my father would tell me about Iran because he went into the US Air Force at 17. And when he was stationed in England, um, a lot of the Iranian military, this was before. I think Iran, or it was a little bit more open then in the 70s. But a lot of the Iranian military went to the US bases to get training. And so he would work beside, because he was a mechanic for airplanes, and he would work beside Iranians and
Uh,
teaching them about, yeah,
my
what,
cousin joined as well.
oh,
I
wow.
remember, yeah, he's now in his 60s, but yeah, I remember that Iran was, we called Tehran, the capital of Iran, Paris in the Middle East.
Wow. Wow.
Every time I read comments, I'm a comment reader. I love to read comments when I come across social media news and stuff. And I see the Iranian young people keep saying that our past looks very much like our future in 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Poor
Wow.
people.
I wish I
Yeah.
could visit. Maybe one
Well,
day.
wish Iran to be free, and
Yes.
then people like myself can go back to Iran. And I promise you, this is what I have in mind: that if I ever go back to Iran, and if I can, I would send tickets to my plane tickets to my American friends, invite them over,
Yeah.
have them see the real Iran and the real Iranians.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I dream to do and have tea and
Oh,
see the beautiful
yes.
art and architecture that
And
the
go
country.
around, yeah, all those rooms, all those ancient buildings. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. So to conclude, what are you working on now? Are you shooting any new series? I know you were in New Orleans wrapping up a film recently.
Well, uh, after that, I did the Wheel of Time.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
So I joined them for the season 3.
Okay.
And wow, working with a handful of amazing, strong actresses portraying these powerful women, either in the past or in the future. They're saying they're saying that it's set in the future, but looks like very much like in the past because obviously the earth has gone cold. We're wearing layer after layer after layer. We're living mostly inside, and women are trying to run the world. So it was right up my alley when
Yeah.
I was offered to play the role, and I loved portraying her. Uh, Elida Doavry, her name is, and we may or may not go for season 4. We're working on that. But the movie that I'm working on right now, again, it deals with another social problem, disability.
Okay.
So let's see if we can find a producer or producers, executive producers who would be willing to put their money in this movie that does not look like being profitable, but would bring a lot of attention to this problem.
Yeah, and hopefully change.
And hopefully change. We're always hopeful for change. Yes, exactly. You're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, it's been a pleasure to speak with you. You're so inspiring.
Thank you so much. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for talking to us. Thank you for bringing it to people's attention. And thank you for being who you are.
My
Thank you.
pleasure. My pleasure. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode and that you have found a soulful connection to the conversation. God bless you, and until the next episode, go bless somebody else.